Yeah, good. Drinking what?
Bubble tea.
Bubble tea.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, anyways.
We're good.
Okay, we're back. Episode 2 of the undergraduate percussion basic podcast. Again, from repertoire to everyday lessons, we are seeking to share experiences as current students. And I'm Shane, and today with me we have Hope and Michael from the last episode. And we have a new one, a new person. Or not a new person. He was mentioned in the first episode. David. Introduce yourself.
All right. Hi. So I'm David. I'm currently a percussion performance master student over at the Boston Conservatory, and I did my undergrad over at the Eastman School of Music.
Flex.
Wow.
Cool. Really cool. Anything else? Any other types of music that you've done?
Yeah, I did drum corps and also indoor drumline.
Nice. Wait, you did indoor?
Yeah, I just did 1 year, not even a full year actually.
With who?
Did with Q2
Oh.
like 2015.
Cool.
Interesting time.
Q2. Nice. I didn't know you did. So that's Quest, right? Atlanta Quest.
Yeah, it's like their open class division.
Nice. Cool. All right. So, episode 2. What are we going to talk about? Oh, yeah. Main topics.
Your recital.
Yeah, so I just did my recital this past Wednesday, March 11th. I was really nervous, but I played some cool rep. So I'll list off the rep that I played. First piece I played was Variations on Poor Game Bess by Eric Samut. Then I played Open End by Ben Hackbarth on vibraphone, and there's an electronic track too. And then the third piece, I played Hop 2 by Paul Lansky. Fourth piece I played was Impressions by Martin Chow. That's a multi snare drum and 2 toms.
Yeah.
First and second movement. And then I ended with Relative Riffs by Vinyao. And we played the first movement of that is me, my friend Mason, and Brandon. It's a trio. 2 marimbas, and the third person plays vibraphone and xylophone.
Good old Vinny.
Vinny. Nice. Yeah, that was my recital. It was pretty crazy.
How do you feel? How do you think you did?
I felt like I did fairly well considering the circumstances. I talked to some people after, and they said they really liked Porgy and Bess. They said that one was really cool. But yeah, I feel like so the week before I was already talking to them about this before we started, but I actually had the flu the week before, and the doctor was like, so I went to the doctor on Monday the week before, and she was like, yeah, you're not going to be able to go to school for like 4 or 5 days.
Oh, did you?
And I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome. And what was funny is we had Michael, do you remember the Collage concert at Lamar?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
For the
was...
Rich People concert.
Yeah, that was Tuesday. So the day after, and I texted, I talked to Dr. Perez, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. I have a fever right now. And he was like, well, need to figure it out. You going to do it or not? So I did it, and we, I did the concert with a fever. He covered my part on the wind ensemble piece.
Oh, Collage.
Yeah, but I played the because we did a percussion ensemble quartet. Yeah, so I just did that. But yeah, I had the fever and the flu, and I actually went back a little early because I was feeling better from all the medicine. Still had a mask on though, and I would practice like Thursday and Friday because that's all I really had. And then I left for indoor that weekend, came back Monday and Tuesday, and just did as much as I could. then yeah, did the recital.
So,
Did you feel like that
Huh?
little like a setback actually hurt your recital, or is it just
Yeah, were you prepared? I feel like you were pretty prepared to, despite all that, and it was still a good recital.
Yeah, I definitely like put in a lot of the work beforehand, so it wasn't it wasn't crazy coming back to the rep after being sick. But I do remember the first day I came back, which was a little earlier than they wanted me to, but I did anyways because I didn't want to have a bad recital.
Yeah.
I started playing my rep and I like couldn't do it. Like it was like I was playing really poorly, and I was like, it made me really nervous. I was like, am I gonna be able to like pull this off? Like, am I gonna be able to play all this?
yeah, I think that might just be one of those situations where you have those pre-recital like nerves. Because I've definitely, and I'm pretty sure everyone else here has kind of experienced the same thing. Where it's like, dear God, I can't play this one passage in this one piece, and it. But usually during the recital, it either, it goes fine, or it's just mostly like your brain just playing these huge tricks on you because you're just so nervous playing in front of all these people.
Yeah. One thing I actually discovered before getting sick, just I was doing a bunch of research because I can honestly say I'm not a good mental performer. I used to not really do well under those circumstances, performing in front of people. And so I did a bunch of research, and I was like watching all these videos and just reading up on. I actually got The Inner Game of Tennis, if you guys know that book.
It's a great book.
It is a good book. I've gone a couple pages. No, I've gone like 15 pages in, but even in just those like 15 pages that I've read so far, it already gives you like ideas on what you can do.
And you know what? Like, just a side note, once you finish that book, I highly recommend you read The Inner Game of Music, and it's like the same idea, and it's written by the same guy, and he does a lot of research. So that would be cool to read after that.
Cool. Yeah, I saw those books, but I had always heard like Inner Game of Tennis being tossed around as like the one to read, so that's why I picked it up. But yeah,
that's why the Kenjo Osi podcast brought it up, didn't it?
Really.
It's a good book. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's where I heard it from. But
I don't know. I've heard it from even a couple of teachers I've had like in the marching realm too. They've talked about it. But so I basically did a bunch of research, and one video surprisingly came from a TED Talk. It was a guy. He was a monk, and he did a TED Talk on how to stay focused, because he was talking about I think, what was it, ADD, like having ADD, and how he thinks that you can have that, but he thinks that you have to be taught how to stay focused. Like it's not just an inherent thing that you have, and you have to be taught how to focus on things and how to stay focused on things. And he talked about the mind being like imagining your mind, and then imagining what you're thinking is like this like light, this like orb of light. And there's like different sections of the brain that you put that orb of light into, and wherever you put that orb of light, that's where you're going to concentrate. Does that make sense? Kind of? Sort of?
Yeah,
it sounds good to me.
Yeah, so basically, like, to put it into like terms of how I did it, is I would imagine that orb of light, and I would focus it on like playing the piece. Like, I mean, that sounds really simple, but like just doing that and having that be the focus, it really like I would focus on the piece and the sounds I'm creating. And that was like all I focused it on, and it really helped me like draw out everything that was around me, like the audience, the random noises that people make in the audience, the coughs, the door opening. in the middle of the performance or something like that. Like some of those things that are typical to happen, like I'd never noticed them just from having that like orb of light focus, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that was it was really interesting to find. It really helped me for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering to myself, like, because now that I think about it, and since you brought it up, like, you're so like engrossed into what you're doing, like during a recital or like a performance, that you just like tune out like everything that's going on out in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really noticed that until now. So it's kind of interesting that you brought that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like definitely like at first whenever I heard it, I was just like, seriously, like an orb of light? What? But I mean, I tried it like and the way I practiced it, like it wasn't even music related sometimes, the way I would practice it. Like if I'm in class or like I'm in a lesson or something, like you I'm sure you all of you have had that moment where you just like zone out for no reason. And whatever you like, a lecture or like during a rehearsal or something, like you'll zone out for a second, right? And just like I would practice like that orb of light even just in a normal class, just like how long can I keep that orb of light on the professor that is teaching me right now? And like it would just help me, like, and anytime it like left, I would just like realize it and bring it back. And that's kind of how I trained myself to just like stay focused on the task, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a cough.
Yeah, I probably need to do that for music history. Yeah.
I think I do something similar like that now that, like, the more you explain it, the more I'm like, I think I do this with score studying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, there might be so much going on that if I want to focus on one line, but something else is happening under that line, that I'm like, oh, but, like, what's going on down here? It's like, no, like, focus one thing at a time, one voice at a time. And to me, that's like an orb of light. For me, it's like how long can I follow trumpet one? How long can I do that?
Yeah.
I kind of get that. It's hard. It's hard to keep focus, though. It is, like, at first, for sure. It's like you have to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets better over time, though.
Yeah, I try to do that too, like you said, with score study, but even in like the real situation of like a rehearsal, especially with like, because
yeah,
like wind band or like orchestra or whatever, like whoever has the main line in like the winds, like try to follow it and like see how it fits with your part, or like, you know, all that stuff, but like see how long you can like focus that energy, that orb of light, quote unquote, on that one thing, you know.
So how did you came up with that program list, like? Like those repertoire.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I honestly am, because for me, I'm an education major, so I hadn't had the experience of putting on a recital in my previous year, like, you know how you have to do a junior and a senior for performance majors, but this was my first time putting on a recital myself. And I guess it was a lot of help from Dr. Perez in picking the order. And the advice he gave to me was putting more stressful pieces towards the front. For some reason, I mean, it makes sense, so you can like kind of just like get it out of the way. But to me, what really helped me with, because for me, the most stressful piece for me was hop. That was the most stressful one for me. Where were we?
Oh, hop 2.
Yes. So yeah, hop 2 is like the most stressful one for me. And what worked, I guess, in this situation was I kind of encapsulated it in between pieces that I was because the other other 4 pieces that I played, I was way more comfortable with mentally. I was way more mentally comfortable with the other 4. So I kind of just enclosed hop in the center so I was surrounded by comfortable pieces. If that makes sense. So I started with Porgy and Bess because that one was honestly the one I was most comfortable with. So I could start strong and kind of like build that confidence. And then I played Open End, which is, technically speaking, it isn't crazy, but effect-wise, it's very difficult in getting the right sounds out. And it's like a really crazy piece. I'll have to show you guys sometime. Or I could like put a video up or something in the podcast, like briefly. But yeah, and then that one was just a electronics piece, pretty straightforward. And then I had to do hop, which I already had built that confidence from the first two pieces and comfortability of being in the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's what really helped me in choosing the order. Another thing, actually, we also discussed how, we discussed the rep based on how the crowd would feel about it. So obviously the two pieces that are the most hard to follow was Open End and Vinyao. Those were the two pieces that were clearly like more complex, I guess, in terms of sound and meter and all that stuff. So we didn't put them next to each other on purpose. So it gives kind of a mental break, not only for me but for the audience as well. So it's like, they have that one random piece at the beginning that's really weird, and they're like, "Wow, that was crazy!" Like, like whatever. And then it's followed by a couple of easygoing pieces that are easygoing listening for the audience, so they have something to grasp onto, and then a wild finisher with relative riffs. So yeah, that's kind of the things that I based my order on.
Yeah, cool. I kind of did something similar. I always pick the flashy or more exciting piece at the beginning, just because those are easy mentally, like very easy to execute. Also, like all the audience usually like those pieces. They're like, "Oh, he plays so fast," blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
definitely.
And then they're like, "Oh, I'm so excited for the rest of the program," and I kind of give them the more boring stuff, I guess, quote unquote. And I usually put, for me, I feel like I should put the hardest piece on the very end, which is kind of contradict what you and Paris is saying, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's benefits to, there's validation in both ideas.
Yeah, for me, I just feel like, if I put like Merlin or Hop 2 in the program, can I really play anything else after I play Merlin or Velocity, stuff like that?
Yeah.
So I always, put those hard pieces on the very end, just so everything else could smooth out. And when I did the marimba recital, like, I was so chill. Like I have 7 marimba pieces, and then I didn't sweat at all until I finished Hop 2, which is the second to the last piece. And then I ended out with Merlin. But like the 5 pieces before Hop 2 was so smooth because I was not, because it was quite easy for me to play until.
You'd been playing those pieces for a while, right?
It's okay amount of time, I think, not too long.
Well, you said you put Merlin at the end?
Yeah, Merlin is...
That's the one you've been playing for a long time.
Yeah, because I did it for my senior recital, and then... So I have to do the 5th year because of the education degree, so I just...
Of course.
Kind of used that as my grad school audition piece. So I kind of have to keep playing it for more than a year, which... Yeah. It kind of sucks, but, it was nice because... I can't believe I say this. Merlin was like easy to me to work in the audition season.
I mean, yeah, if you had been playing it for that amount of time, Yeah. That's kind of like, honestly, that's kind of how I felt. Even though I had not been playing Hop in relation to you playing Merlin, like I hadn't been playing Hop that long. But after my recital, I was telling David before we even started, like, I didn't touch. I was like, after my recital, I took a break, and I started back up yesterday, this new week, just practicing and getting ready for other things. And I started to play because I want to get recordings of my stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep playing them. And I pulled up Hop again, and I just kind of like see where I'm at. Just did kind of like a coldish run after a little warm up. But yeah, I played Hop just kind of cold, in terms of not running through anything, and I was like, wow, like, how am I playing it this well from like this break? And just like the mallets felt so much lighter, like I could move way more efficiently, and yeah, I don't know, something about playing a piece for so long that you.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like sometimes we just underrated how much those practice works. Like we always freak out if we don't practice 1 or 2 days, but in reality, it's fine because you practice for like way more than that. And it's interesting. When I was in high school, my power lesson teacher told me that if you practice that thing for 1 day, it's a +1. If you didn't practice for that, if you don't practice the next day, it's a -1. So he was telling me like, can you keep adding those number? You know, he was basically encouraging me to continue to practice. And then I feel like, because every time we practice, you know, we quote unquote we +1, and then if we take a couple of days off, you know, we probably still have a lot left, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. David and I were actually talking about that too, like taking days off, and how like sometimes like you actually need it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you, because I think he was telling, like, what were you saying, David? Like you took a couple of days off and like you came back and you're like, this is not how I left the piece, in a good way.
Yeah, it's you know, a lot of people get into the mindset of, you know, I have to practice every day for, you know, however this many hours, and sometimes, or even most of the time, musicians don't really think about how much of a catch-22 that situation is, because it's like, you know, I have to practice every day, otherwise I'm not going to be able to get better. But at the same time, if you're like burning yourself out because you're practicing so much, then it's not really working out. It's not benefiting you in any way. So I personally kind of took the latter route where, you know, as I was preparing for, you know, my jury performance or like a recital, I just had to take a couple days just to, you know, sit down, take a break, do something that's like enjoyable or something that's relaxing. And then when I came back, it felt like the piece wasn't like holding me down anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead, I feel like there was kind of like a mutual connection, and I was actually enjoying playing the piece again, as opposed to like, oh man, this is a chore, like I don't want to keep practicing this thing. Which is like, it happens so many times. And I just think if anyone's in that situation, it's just best for you to either move on to something else, or maybe just take a break overall, because that situation of burnout can happen super easily.
Yeah.
I actually had a question. I don't know. Have we talked about like how we learn music? Have we talked about that at all?
I think we kind of touched it.
We kind of mentioned it
in the first episode.
Yeah. Yeah, because I went through like the chunking thing.
Oh, was that like how we practice? Oh boy.
It was like a mix of like how we practice and like learning new rap or something like that.
Okay. If we already did, then we don't have to touch it.
Well,
I don't think we talked about like learning rap, like memorizing and stuff like that. But
we can if you guys want to. Is there any method that particularly stands out to you, all of you, that works really well?
I think just score studying before you even start playing the piece. I think you need to hear it and see what you're going to be doing and be aware of things is like the first thing you should do before grabbing mallets and or sticks and just going to town on it.
But then there's people that definitely avoid doing that. They like refuse to listen to recordings so they don't get like influenced.
So they don't like follow
their
that
own
recording.
interpretations.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
they should
Yeah.
find their own sound.
I had a question. Yeah, I had a question about that. How do you go about determining phrasing?
That's interesting.
Yeah, like so you guys just talked about like yes, there's video reference. Like that's always good. Like watching professional, especially if you get a professional that is known throughout the percussion community that records a piece and you can listen to that and get ideas from it to add to your own phrasing. But how do you guys like go about phrasing yourself?
I like to hear things. What I'm playing, I like to listen to myself play it, and I honestly just go with my feeling. I feel like this line sounds, I don't know, like a little folk song, so I'll bring out something that I like, and then usually I go off a feeling. I don't know what you do. It's more of like, it sounds like this to me, so I'm gonna shape it like that.
I'm not the greatest expert at shaping things.
I shape a lot, I feel.
I think the general, every time I ask people that, they just say stuff like, you play it like how you would sing it.
Yes.
That's just basic.
That's
rule.
a big one that I hear a lot. Like
So-
if you're ever in a lesson, like, hey, sing this part for me, and like express this part in singing and how you would sing it, and you would, and they'd be like, okay, play it like that. That's
I also think it also depends on like what piece you're playing.
mm-hmm.
So like Michael and I did Keith Jarrett's Cologne concert on
boy.
marimba, and like like learning that piece was like not only like a challenge and like just like learning the right notes and everything, but the melody that's in like Keith Jarrett's like right hand, for example, isn't always like super apparent. So when I was learning the piece, like half of the melody was gone because I was just kind of like
the version we did was so funny because Keith Jarrett original is a pianist. It was a improv on a piano, a jazz improv, and then the one we're doing is actually arrangement / transcription on a guitar, and then we bring it to marimba. So there's like already flip, like it's already really different, slightly different than the original.
it's like if you were to like put a text document into like Google Translate and do that like 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
that's what we got. And like I don't know about you, Michael, but when I was learning this thing, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. And I didn't listen to any recordings when I started, and I was like, this is like something's not right here because there's like no melody.
It's true.
Like all I'm doing right now is playing chords. And then like I went and listened to both like Keith Jarrett's original recording and then some marimba recordings. I was like, holy crap, that makes so much more sense.
What piece is this?
It's the marimba transcription for the Köln concert, Koln.
Okay.
There's the
Super
recording.
cool piece
Yeah.
too.
G.I.
It's
Joe.
super groovy and everything. It's just like I feel like this situation, at least for me personally, was like I need to listen to a recording to actually understand what's going on.
Yeah, no,
Because I was like in the middle of the desert trying to find water with this freaking thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I think people might abuse like the listening to a piece in score setting. They might like actively listen to it every day and be like, this is how I have to sound. And then that's when they
Yeah.
get influenced. But I think what David did was he just did some research and like listened to it, I don't know, maybe 5 times each. And then was like, I know what to do. I know what I'm going to do. So I think when people abuse, I want to play like this person or this YouTube video is the best to me, I'm just going to keep listening to it. I think that's when, that's when score setting is like not score setting anymore. You're just kind of being like
But then I feel like
a mirror.
so me and Shane's mutual friend Caleb. You remember Caleb?
Yeah.
I hope you remember Caleb.
Of course, we had lunch with him.
Do you
We had
remember
lunch
this
with
mutual
him like
friend that we
not
have?
too long ago.
You remember him?
Hey, do you
No,
remember
no.
Caleb, the guy that we saw like a month ago?
I
Yes,
know,
and we went to school with
to
for like a
take a
couple
shit
years.
together.
No, I don't.
You have a daughter now.
Anyways, go
Anyway,
ahead.
he when he learned music, and he's one of like the strongest person that to like memorize pieces. Like it just feels like he memorizes it and he never forget it. And the way he always does it, he always listens to whatever pieces that he play. And he said like, you know, the more he hear it, like he just when he look at the music, it all makes sense to him. So I guess that's another way. Well, we're just going back to how we memorize pieces. Like that's how he does it. So maybe it works for someone else. And
Yeah.
for me, it actually helps too, because when you look at the music and then you're able to know what the pieces is going, you actually figure out much faster and memorize it faster. But in terms of interpretations, you know, that's
Yeah, you should probably find your own
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Or if you really like it, then do it.
Yeah.
true.
There's a recording of the first piece that I played, Variations on Porgy and Bess, and like I would listen to the recording. It was a professional, and I'd listen to the recording and look in my score, and he'd be playing it like very, very close to not what is on the page sometimes. And I was like, holy crap, like he's so expressive, if you want to say that. He's so expressive with whatever he's playing, and like, you know, there were some things that I took from it. I was like, oh, that sounds cool to me, so I'm gonna do it because I like it. But some of the other things I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna play it like that, you know.
Yeah.
So
God, who was with me when we watched this video? But
Oh my god, is that the bog?
yeah. So
Oh my god.
so let me preface this by
Is that what y'all
saying
showed
like
me?
the the
Oh my
reason
gosh.
like music is so great because like you can have your own interpretations and everything, and like you can like what you like and you can like not like what you don't like.
but it's Bach.
But like there was this one interpretation that I saw on YouTube. I can't remember her name exactly, but she was playing a Bach, one of the Bach cello preludes, and it was interesting
I knew you were gonna say interesting.
because she was like super expressive, like almost overly expressive.
Yeah.
But I mean, it still sounded good. It was just an entirely different interpretation than what I would have done, and would have like.
It was extra. I think
it was
the
just
word
a
I'm looking
lot.
for is
See,
right.
I think some things are meant to be. It's kind of like the orchestral rep that we all study.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to play Scheherazade a certain way because that's how it's supposed to be played, and you're gonna play Kiji a certain way because that's how it's supposed to be played, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like, for the most part, Bach is kind of that way. I don't know. To me, I could be wrong, but is that
Well, there's
I
like two
disagree.
school of thought.
you disagree?
Yeah.
There's
No, go
there's
ahead.
like
No,
the
yeah,
people
go
that-
ahead.
There's people that are very strict. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you have to play like this. Like that's how they do it. But I think I don't know. There's a term for them. It's like classical or the purist or wherever it is, and then there is people that is like, oh, Bach is, you know, you need to make music out of it.
See,
Yeah,
I have like, I should have asked you first because I feel like you all have more exposure than me, because I honestly need to play more Bach, and I haven't played enough Bach in my undergrad. And the same
think
thing with orchestral excerpts. You know, I'm just now starting back up again as to where you guys have been playing orchestral stuff for a while. So, you know, I was just curious.
I think it's just like a taste thing too. Like, some people don't really want to play Bach a lot, so then to them, they're not gonna look deep into it, but I'm someone who kind of like loves it, and I get pretty deep into it because if you look at a score, there's not much on it but notes.
Yeah.
Like you get like one dynamic, maybe 3 dynamics on the whole page, and then you're like, cool. You get some like phrasing lines, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I love it because you get to make it your own.
Okay,
almost always.
That makes sense.
It's very it's nice. That's why I like Bach, because you can hear several versions. And the piece that David was talking about earlier was Bach Cello Suite Number 5, the Prelude.
Nice.
So if you guys want, I remember it. I played that as well. And everyone
actually
plays it so differently. It's great.
I think I have a recording actually. I played a Bach Cello Suite and I have it on my YouTube actually. But yeah, see that's that. But
Shameless plug.
yeah, on my YouTube. Shane Roderick, check it out.
Actually.
No, but see that's like how little exposure I have. Like that's the only Bach I've played. Like so, that's I guess that's the reason why I talked about it that way. Like I felt like it was because I haven't had much exposure and I've only had guidance on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
well,
I've only
yeah.
had guidance on how to play Bach, so I haven't really explored it myself.
Like Michael said, some people are just play it as if you are playing on a harpsichord or something.
Or like
that is
yeah.
like a thing. Or some people, like, especially Nancy Zeltzman, is like big on what do you want it to sound like? Where are your shapes? How would you shape this? So she's the second school, and that's the school that I like. So you can play it however. You can play it just straight and nice, how you like it, and then you can explore it and be like, oh, let's add some color here and some shape here.
Mm.
Yeah.
And nothing's wrong. It's like, it's all good.
Yeah.
Like Bach is such a good like pedagogical tool, which is like why basically every like percussion school like teaches it, because it just teaches you like line, teaches you how to voice things, and I think it's just really important for percussionists to like really dive into Bach as much as they can, because I'm pretty sure eventually all of us are going to teach at some point, and busting out like the first Bach cello suite would be like super beneficial for anyone who's like starting out.
Yeah.
Agree.
Because there's just so much in there that you can teach. It's such good stuff.
It's kind of
And
cool.
it's not even like a lot of music. It seems like a lot. It seems overwhelming, but once you really get into it, you're like, oh, I can actually learn this, and I'm gonna have fun learning this, and then you get into some like 3-voice fugues, and you're like, okay, maybe not.
It's like, freaking, this is I'm not touching this.
You know what I mean?
thing.
That's like my struggle right now. I'm like, oh my gosh. But like, yeah, like the cello suites, yes.
And it's like they
Super,
sound so
super
nice too. It's
Yeah.
like it's not like hardcore death metal or anything, but it's just like, oh, this is nice.
Bach
Like, you can
suite
play
in
it.
A minor.
You can play it for like kids, and they'll like either be like jamming out to it or sleeping.
See, I think it's pretty cool how, I literally just within these like 10 minutes of talking about it, like I've learned already what I can do whenever I revisit Bach again, knowing that I don't have to stick to a certain way of playing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's cool. It's really cool.
Hey, Shay.
Music is free, man.
Huh?
Music is free.
Shay, you said
Freedom.
you said you're gonna record.
Stop.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna record. What?
What?
Wait, what's so funny?
Wait, is Lamar not closed right now?
I think it is. It is for classes, but the banner's still open.
Oh.
Yeah, I was there yesterday.
You think I could like just hop in and record something?
Okay, there's a reason why he's asking about this, and I think we should finally hit this topic.
Aren't you guys having a marimba in our apartment?
I don't know. You're not supposed to say out loud. It's a secret.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I don't think that's happening.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
so, too.
not happening. It's way too late for that
Okay,
to be
we
happening.
should.
Hey, David,
Yeah.
can you turn your mic down slightly, just a little bit?
Yeah, I can do that.
Just a little bit. Thank you.
So are we gonna talk about the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So
Or should we save this for tomorrow's episode so that we?
No, because here tomorrow.
yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay, okay.
Hey, spoiler,
know.
we have a guest. I have to bleep that out.
just
Hey,
got-
this is a perfect time. Remember Hope was like, yeah, anything we say that shouldn't really be said, we can just bleep out with a percussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna
Wait,
do
I
that.
cussed last time.
Oh
Did you not
yeah,
do
we
that
have
last
we have our guest here. Anyways,
Fat sample.
I'll play some Bach over it.
Oh my god.
Okay, yeah. So obviously, there's a worldwide thing going on.
Pandemic.
Pandemic, the COVID-19 or coronavirus. So yeah, I mean, how is it affected? Of course, there's like a quarantine going on, but how has it affected you guys personally?
Well, we're not allowed to access percussion practice room,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
and it's really hard on. I think we talked about in our meetings, like the student meeting, and it really hurts, especially the percussionists, the pianists, and the harpists.
Who can't take their instruments, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
absolutely, and yeah, so we just kind of staying at home, and luckily, we have quite a few people in the studio own their own marimba. in
Yeah, I was
Boston.
about to actually ask, like, how are you what measures are you taking to stay active? And
Yeah,
I guess
well,
you're saying,
bef-
there's people with marimbas themselves.
Yeah, I
personally.
just go up to people's house and play, and and I actually watch Netflix now for once. It was good. It
Oh
was
my gosh,
great.
I watch TV now.
Yeah, I know, it's great. And then I just do some basic exercise while I'm watching TV, just to get your hands going. I guess it's better than nothing.
Stick
but
yoga?
it's- Stick yoga, yeah.
I honestly think I got a bad, like, feeling from it to begin with. Is like Wednesday, and I kind of knew at that point we knew that the school was closing,
Mm-hmm.
but I was kind of more upset about all my friends having to like leave, like go home, and they had like 4 days to get out of here, and it felt bad to see everyone so upset, and it wasn't even the end of the year, and people's recitals were canceled,
Yeah.
and then it didn't help that we didn't have instruments.
Yeah.
So then, I luckily Friday was the last day that we could all be there, and I recorded for one more festival on Timpani. But other
You
than
did
that,
that.
yeah, I recorded. The building closed at 11. I got the recording done because I didn't know if the police were gonna escort us out that night. I got it done at 10:45.
Nice.
Clutch.
But like now it's Wednesday or Tuesday. What's today?
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, and I haven't touched timpani,
Jeez.
and I haven't held sticks in my hands just because I can't. Like it
It's
sucks.
scary. COVID ID-19. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Get away from people, I guess.
Please wash your hands.
Yeah,
My
wash your
God.
hands.
Like, that's
Wash
the
your hands, stay
biggest-
safe.
That's the biggest thing you can do.
Wear
If you-
masks.
If you do have availability to any sort of practice for you music people, wash your hands after. Get those like wipes or whatever, like Germex, or get Germex. I don't know, something. Germex your stuff. I don't know. Stay healthy. What is up, guys? Thank you again so much for taking a look at another episode of The Undergraduate. The response we've been getting is awesome from you guys, from watching all of our videos and listening when you're on the go or whatever it is you may be doing. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you turn on that notification bell so anytime a new episode comes out from us, you'll know and you'll be able to listen right away.